And we're back with Lisa Waters Lane in the studio. She comes each week, and this is just her segment. What is she seeing in the gardens? Just a different perspective, a different garden advice from a different angle. And you are one brilliant gardener. You've been doing this your entire life, at least in the garden center business, kind of like our kids. And they look young, but they probably get the most experience of anyone out there on the floor because they've just been surrounded by plants their entire life.
True. Very true. That's it. You're not going to keep going.
I'm waiting for you to jump right in there. I can only sit up so long. Kind of in a funk today, huh? Not quite the radio microphone thing going on. So what kind of advice you're thinking about?
So I was thinking about vegetables and your ornamental or your regular landscape.
Okay.
Or making, I guess, an edible landscape. There we go.
There you go. That works.
Edible landscapes.
Like blueberries and service berries and
it used to be years ago, or maybe it's still in the Midwest, people put in this huge garden.
Yeah.
I mean, huge. I remember my grandparents had this huge garden. They had a big piece of land and they had corn and everything. But people just don't have that space in their yards anymore to do that. But there's still something about going out and planting some vegetables, some fruits, some of those things, and just harvesting them from your own yard that are amazing. So just because you have a smaller yard does not mean you have to give up growing your own fruits and vegetables.
You think of permaculture, like a shade tree is an apple tree that you can also, it's like double duty. It's shade, it's spring flowers, it's fall color, but then you can also eat the fruit.
Right. So there's a lot of that, the permaculture, putting in fruit trees. And because some people don't, but they're not going to be canning apples or peaches, and they don't want to go that far.
Right.
But maybe they want some fresh tomatoes. Maybe they want some strawberries. Maybe they want a few little things that they can eat, but without being overwhelmed by a massive production of fruits and veggies. And that's really something to think about, when you're thinking about using vegetables and, fruits in your garden. How do you want to use it? Is it something you just want to go out and nibble on and have a few? Is it something you want to can? Because that's totally different than having a few things.
Different scale. Yeah.
And I guess I was just thinking about more, how do you just bring in some edibles? You could go whole hog. We can certainly help you do that if that's something you want to do.
But we would encourage that.
But if you have a smaller yard, or maybe you travel, and maybe you just don't have the energy to put into a huge garden, you can still grow some of your own things and have a really pretty yard.
There's nothing prettier than a tomato plant in a nice ox blood red container with a beautiful cage coming up that you spray painted to match the container. And it's growing up, and it's this big 3-foot plant with these beautiful fruits. And you can nibble on some, or you could just enjoy the beauty of a tomato plant. They're gorgeous plants.
Definitely. So the thing to think about when you're putting fruits and vegetables in with your ornamental plants is get plants that have like needs, like wants. So watering, fertilizing, you want to keep them somewhat the same. You don't want to put a succulent in with a tomato because they have totally different needs and wants. So you don't want to mix those two together. But you're right. I was thinking about eggplant, actually, because the blossom on an eggplant is purple.
Yeah,
it's
neat.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And then it puts on that dark purple fruit. Well, how pretty to mix with something pink or yellow.
Yeah.
Maybe you put yellow calabacoas around the base of it, just kind of grace over the pot. How pretty would that be?
That would be really pretty.
Well, thank you.
I think you're right. I do that with artichokes. Artichokes are a beautiful plant. I don't like artichokes. Please don't have us over and offer us artichokes. I won't enjoy the experience. I know this is offensive to Californians, or they grew up in artichoke fields. Oh, I didn't. I don't like them. But it's a beautiful plant. And if you let that fruit blossom, because it's a flower, it's the most interesting, freaky blue purple flower. It's just really neat. Mm-hmm. And so I like to grow it for the flower, not the fruit. Just because it's pretty, it looks prehistoric. Artichokes look like they probably did roam around with dinosaurs. So
they roamed with them.
They did.
So there's a lot of veggies you can use. Some just off the top of my head that I remember. peppers, the bell peppers, because they come in purple and yellow and green and red. What cool colors to have growing in a pot. Tomatoes, of course, and cherry tomatoes or the smaller patio tomatoes, I think for this concept would work better.
Yeah, I agree.
But those are good. They come in the purples, browns, yellows, reds. What a really pretty combination of colors that you can mix with some annuals in your pot. And the other thing to think about is companion planting. So I just brought a few examples of great companion plants. Marigolds, of course.
Yeah.
So putting some marigolds in with your tomatoes, so you're doing that companion planting. So marigolds are great for kind of repelling some of those insects, not all of them, but it does a good job at keeping a lot of your insects away. So you're not using as many pesticides on your plants. So that's a great way.
Marigolds, they do actually, we plant these on our patio to keep mosquitoes away, because you hose this down at sunset.
Right.
And it pushes the flies and the mosquitoes off the patio.
Right.
And it also does it for vegetables, that kind of stuff. But this is a Durango red. Super unusual to see a red marigold. Very cool.
Yeah, usually they're like a bright yellow. I just brought this one. We have the yellow, we have the orange, but I really like the color on this one. So it's very dynamic.
Why plant boring when you can have something new and fun? Red marigolds. Who's ever heard of a thing? Available here at Waters Garden Center.
Another really good companion plant is the salvias. So this one's the blue salvia. It's an annual salvia, but a great.
Sorry, just beat her on the head with the plant.
So this is great for bringing in pollinators.
Yeah.
So your bees and those butterflies, things that do your pollinating out in the yard, love bluish purple. They absolutely adore it. So if you want,
that shows up really good on screen. That looks good. It's pretty.
It shows up nicely. So great to plant with your vegetables to help with pollination.
Yeah.
So you can do a lot of companion planting. The geranium, the citronella scented geranium is another really good companion plant. Throw out there, lobularia. So there's a lot you can do to combine and get the best of both worlds on there.
I find that bees really like your pollinators, the things that come in and go from flower to flower. They cannot resist blues and yellows. So those are their favorite colors. I don't know if it's a depth perception or whatever, but you'll see out in the landscape, they're after the blue flowers. This is a blue salvia. They just love this. Hummingbirds like this too. They like the yellow, bright yellow flowers too. So if you're planting those, it makes your flowers, your vegetable garden more beautiful, because there's flowers, but then they also pull in or magnify, bringing those pollinators into your garden. So they naturally just go to your tomatoes and go to your squash and go to your pumpkins and go to everything else in the gardens. Brilliant idea.
So the other things you can think about is using strawberries as a ground cover. We have a patch out in the back corner of my yard that is strawberries that we just kind of use as a ground cover. It's also kind of an overflow patch for the pond and different stuff out there. But that's a great way to use fruit. You can get fruit whenever you want. Strawberries are also great for hanging over your pots, your containers, to kind of soften that thrill, fill, and spill.
Yeah.
So have the strawberries be your spill. And the great thing about a lot of the strawberries are coming out, I think I showed them a few weeks ago, like that dark pink blossom, light pink blossom. So it doesn't have to be boring. It can still be fun. Another thought, I thought, that's a really good idea, and we've done this, is you like to grow those big pumpkins, the giant pumpkins out in the yard. Well, by the end of the season, that thing is taking over our yard.
Yeah.
And it makes a great ground cover.
Yeah.
You know, it really fills the yard, makes it look lush and tropical. The same with rhubarb. Rhubarb has that really big leaf that looks so tropical and gorgeous out there. So why not use things that give you double purpose out in the yard?
If you want to impress grandkids, plant a couple giant pumpkins. They don't have to be the size of a Volkswagen. No. They can just be like the size of a doghouse. And they're pretty easy to grow, up to 80 pounds or so. It's 3 times what you can find at the grocery store. And they kind of go, ooh, Pop, he's a real gardener. Wow, that's impressive. You try to lift it up, take it to the front yard and have it out there. Anyway, great advice, Lisa. Ground covers are double purpose of a lot of your edible landscapes, and those can be planted now. So strawberries would love being planted right now. Ken and Lisa Lane, the Mountain Gardeners. Be right back after this.